اللهم صل على سيدنا يا محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على أشرف الأنبياء سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد طب القلوب ودوائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها. وبعد، يقول المصنف رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا الله تعالى به: ويجب في حقه تعالى القدرة، وهي صفة قديمة قائمة بذاته تعالى يوجد بها ويعدم، وضدها العجز. والدليل على ذلك أنه لو كان عاجزا لم يوجد شيء من هذه المخلوقات. Previously, what we covered in this text were firstly the categorization of everything into wajib, essential, necessary, mustahil, impossible, and jaiz, possible. This is the rational categorization of everything. Then we mention the divine attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala: al-wujud, existence; al-qidam, infinite, pre-existence; al-baqa, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is eternal; al-mukhalafatu lil-hawadith, opposition to contingent things. The definition of contingent was that which has existence after non-existence. Anything which had no existence and then came into existence is termed as being contingent. Then we mentioned al-qiyamu bin nafs, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is self-established. And then al-wahdaniyya, oneness. We stopped at this attribute of al-qudra, divine power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Imam Bajuris rahimahullah ta'ala, Ibrahim al-Bajuri, states: وَيَجِبُ فِي حَقِّهِ تَعَالَى الْقُدْرَةُ. It is essential in his right the attribute of al-qudra, divine power. This attribute is a pre-eternal attribute, sifatun qadimatun qa'imatun bidhatihi, established with his essence. Note, he doesn't say halun fi dhatihi. Halun would mean residing in his essence. This is an impossibility. You cannot say something resides in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you say it resides in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this would make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into a mahal, a place. And being a place is the attribute of creation, makhluqat. He states qa'imatun bidhatihi, established with his essence. This is a very careful point which the mutakallimin, the theologians, are very careful in how they word their texts. qa'imatun bidhatihi ta'ala yujidu biha wa yu'dimu. He subhanahu wa ta'ala brings into existence and takes out of existence with this divine attribute, al-qudra. The opposite is incapability. Being incapable of doing something is impossible for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-ajz. The evidence he gives, وَالدَّلِيلُ عَلَى ذَلِكَ أَنَّهُ لَوْ كَانَ عَاجِزًا. If we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not able to bring things into existence, nothing in creation would exist. لم يوجد شيء من هذه المخلوقات. So if there is a person who states Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no qudra, divine power, he would have to answer the question, how does everything around us exist? The very fact that we have everything in existence shows that the one who has created everything has this divine attribute of al-qudra, divine power. وجود هذه المخلوقات. And this evidence of وجود هذه المخلوقات was also the evidence of the first attribute, al-wujud. If you look back at the beginning, he states وَالدَّلِيلُ عَلَى ذَلِكَ وُجُودُ هَذِهِ الْمَخْلُوقَاتِ, that the evidence for the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the very existence of creation. وُجُودُ هَذِهِ الْمَخْلُوقَاتِ. This is because the makhluk, the creation, points out to the Khaliq. It is impossible for someone to reflect upon the divine essence of that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and understand and comprehend the divine that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is impossible. The human brain is limited. Remember, we mentioned previously that the human brain is so limited that it cannot even map out the sky, the stars in the sky. Such a limited mind cannot comprehend the creation, the makhluqat. How can it comprehend the creator, al-khaliq? This is like someone, and the similitude here is for the human being, not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is like someone trying to fill a vessel with the ocean. The vessel, the likeness here is for the human being, not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That the human mind is limited, being contained, it can contain very little. So al-qudra, divine power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is only attached to those things which are possible, within the realm of possibility. This is why the next attribute, al-irada, divine will, is very important when understanding the divine power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The author states, وَيَجِبُ فِي حَقِّهِ تَعَالَى الْإِرَادَةُ وَهِيَ صِفَةٌ قَدِيمَةٌ قَائِمَةٌ بِذَاتِهِ تَعَالَى. It is essential in His right, the Most High, the attribute of divine will. This is a pre-eternal attribute, صِفَةٌ قَدِيمَةٌ قَائِمَةٌ بِذَاتِهِ تَعَالَى, established with the essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we can translate the word that as essence, the divine existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, يخصص بها الممكن بالموجود أو بالعدم. Now this sentence is very important. He states, He subhanahu wa ta'ala specifies with this attribute al-mumkina, the possible thing, bil-mawjud. So the divine attribute of al-irada attaches itself to possibilities, al-mumkinat. And then with the divine qudra, the divine power, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings into existence the possibilities. This would refute the question when an atheist asks, can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create a stone so heavy that he himself cannot pick it up? How would you answer this? You would say that this falls under the realm of impossible. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create a stone which he cannot pick up. This is an impossibility. And the divine power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only brings into existence possibilities. al-mumkinat. The very meaning of mustahilat, impossibilities, is that they do not come into existence. This is the very meaning of impossible. That such things cannot find existence. They may exist as concepts in the mind, but that has no reality. This is khiyal. Khiyal is thoughts which are made up but have no reality. Al-mustahilat. This is why the divine knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is connected to impossibilities, but we would not say for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala khiyal. Khiyal is for human beings. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the divine attribute of al-ilm. So, here the author states, يُخَصِّصُ بِهَا الْمُمْكِنَ بِالْوُجُودَ وَبِالْعَدَمِ, that He subhanahu wa ta'ala brings into existence the possible things or takes them out of existence. Meaning those things which fall under the realm of muhdathat, contingent things. The very meaning of contingent is that which had no existence and then came into existence. This is everything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أو بالغنى أو بالفقر, or with being rich or poor in relation to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can specify that this person is rich and this person is poor. Here, the question arises, does a human being have ikhtiyar, choice? The reply is yes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates for us our hearing, our sight, our senses, our thoughts, and in the same way He created for us our ikhtiyar, our choice. Our choice is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created for us. We have the choice of doing good or doing evil. This is an ikhtiyar, a choice for us, created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Someone will say, then why were the actions written down 50,000 years prior to the creation being made, some of the creation being made? And remember, the writing down of the actions happened at different times. At one time, it was written on the Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet, and placed above the Arsh, the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at other times, the writing is revealed a bit at a time to the angels. Why is this written down? This is written down with the divine permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala writes according to His divine knowledge what that person will do with the choice that he has been given. But the punishment that is given out to human beings is not based upon that writing. The punishment that is given out is based upon the writing of the angels. And the angels only write out what we do by our own choice. So on the Day of Judgment, when the scrolls are brought out from the neck and placed in front of the person, and his actions are placed in front of him from Alam al-Mithal, the world of similitude, he will only be judged according to what actions he dictated himself to the angels, dictated with his own actions. Those actions he done by choice. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with His divine knowledge, already knew what this person will do with his own choice. Thirdly, the punishment for a person will not be regarding those things where he has no choice. For instance, you're in the middle of a desert and there is nothing to eat and drink. You find the dead carcass of a swine and you take a small piece of meat from that swine and eat it. Will you be punished for this on the Day of Judgment? No, because you are in the state of muttar, coerced, forced. So this shows that the human being is only punished for those actions where he has choice, ikhtiyar. He is not punished for the other things. So the divine attribute of al-irada also specifies whether this person shall be tall, this person shall be short, this person shall be born in such and such place, in such and such family. These things a person will not be punished for. These are according to the divine will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What the person will be punished for is what he has ikhtiyar, choice in. Then the atheist sometimes brings up the problem of evil. They state that why is there so much evil in the world? That does not relate to the actions of a human being. The actions of a human being, he has choice, ikhtiyar. But what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifies with His divine will is in accordance with His divine knowledge and in accordance with His divine wisdom. The Christians find this question very difficult to answer because they do not acknowledge for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the divine creator, certain attributes. They do not acknowledge certain attributes. Now because of their refusal to acknowledge those attributes, they are unable to answer questions posed by atheists when atheists state if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the creator was merciful, why would there be catastrophes on the face of the earth? But the Muslim will reply, because the divine creator has the attributes. فَعَالٌ لِمَا يُرِيدُ, the one who does what he wills. فَعَالٌ لِمَا يُرِيدُ, al-irada. So once the Muslim acknowledges this, he accepts everything from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also acknowledges the fact that everything is in accordance with the divine will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for people in the hereafter is only for their actions which they have done by choice, al-ikhtiyar. As for His divine commands, al-qada wal-qadar on earth, then that is in accordance with His divine will, and His divine will is not understood by the human being because the human being has no access to the divine knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he states, أو بالعلم أو بالجهل, with knowledge or ignorance, إلى غير ذلك, meaning the rizq, sustenance. Remember, sustenance is not only inclusive of your wealth, what you will eat and what you will wear. It is also inclusive of your knowledge and actions. One of the spiritual reasons why people find good actions difficult is because they have been deprived of spiritual sustenance. Sometimes a person will commit a sin and he will be prohibited from rizq, from sustenance. But this sustenance sometimes or many times takes the form of sustenance of ibadah, worship. So a person may find salah, prayer, difficult. Why did he find prayer difficult? Because he is obstinate on such and such sin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken the sustenance of ibadah away from him, worship. Sometimes people have depression in the home. The spiritual reason for the depression may be the fact that they do not give zakah. They do not extract zakah from their wealth. Other times, they will find it difficult to wake up, and when they wake up, they will find the heaviness of sleep. The spiritual reason for this may be that they are consuming riba usually, and the spiritual effect of that is making them sleep heavier. And in some cases, they find it difficult to pray, and the reason for that may be ittiba'u shahwat, following of desires, but this may be a punishment because they are obstinate on another sin, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken the sweetness of worship away from them. So the person must think to himself, which sin am I committing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken this away from me? So the divine irada, al-irada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala connects itself by taking away things and giving things. So what's mentioned here is al-wujud, al-adam, al-ghina, al-faqr, al-ilm, al-jahl, ila ghayri dhalik. Also knowledge. Sometimes knowledge is taken away because the person may commit certain sins and the Quran may be taken away from them. وَلِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. وَضِدُّهَا الْكَرَاهَةُ. The opposite to this is al-karaha, dislike. Meaning, if someone states everything in creation happens without the divine will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they are attributing him to al-karaha. Al-karaha meaning everything is happening around us without the divine will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That would mean he subhanahu wa ta'ala is disliking this. And this is what the Christians have ascribed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When they cannot understand why there are catastrophes, why certain people are born with disabilities, why certain people die in a fearsome way, why certain children have diseases. When they cannot explain this, they say this is happening without the divine will of God, but this is the doing of human beings, meaning human beings are creating these actions. This is a mistake. Everything is happening according to the qudra, divine power, and al-irada, divine will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the reasons behind that relate to the divine knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, relating to those things. Behind that are the actions of human beings. For instance, divine punishment may happen in a region because of the sins of the people, and even when the children are caught up in those disasters, those children are saved from growing up in a society where they will end up doing the atrocities which the adults are committing, and therefore the children are taken to a better place. But this is according to the divine knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. والدليل على ذلك أنه لو كان كارها لكان عاجزا وكونه عاجزا محال. The evidence for this is that if he subhanahu wa ta'ala was karih, meaning he disliked everything which is occurring, the meaning of that would be he is incapable, ajiz. وَلِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being karih and then being ajiz is impossible, muhal. Because he subhanahu wa ta'ala has the divine attribute of al-qudra and the divine attribute of al-irada. Everything happens with the divine will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He states, وَيَجِبُ فِي حَقِّهِ تَعَالَى الْعِلْمُ وَهِيَ صِفَةٌ قَدِيمَةٌ قَائِمَةٌ بِذَاتِهِ تَعَالَى. It is essential in the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the attribute of divine knowledge, al-ilmu. It is a pre-eternal attribute established with his essence. Remember, the scientists who refuse to acknowledge a creator, one thing that they find impossible to acknowledge is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the divine creator, can know every minute fact taking place in the universe. The mistake that they have fallen into is the mistake we covered earlier, which is that they have not acknowledged al-mukhalafatu lil-hawadith, opposition to contingent things. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in opposition to anything contingent. Anything contingent we see in the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unlike that. Remember, with regard to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we state, La didda lahu, there is no opposite to him. You cannot say this thing is opposite to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we will say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mukhalafa. Mukhalafa. Al-mukhalafa lil-hawadith. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in opposition to contingent things as opposed to being did. Opposite. Al-mukhalafa is opposition. يَعْلَمُ بِهَا الْأَشْيَاءَ وَضِدُّهَا الْجَهْلُ. That with this divine attribute Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything. Al-ashya. Al-ashya is everything. The opposite to this is the attribute of ignorance. وَضِدُّهَا الْجَهْلُ, meaning the opposite to knowledge is ignorance. وَالدَّلِيلُ عَلَى ذَلِكَ أَنَّهُ لَوْ كَانَ جَاهِلًا لَمْ يَكُنْ مُرِيدًا وَهُوَ مُحَالٌ. The evidence for this is that if he subhanahu wa ta'ala was jahil waliyadu billah, the meaning of that would be he is not murid, meaning he has no divine will, and that is impossible. So if someone said, like the scientist may presume, that how can the divine creator know every aspect of the universe, so he negates knowledge from the divine creator that he does not acknowledge. When he negates knowledge, he has negated divine will. Because someone who has no knowledge cannot have will. And when you negate divine will, you negate divine power. And by negating divine will and divine power, then he believes everything around us has happened without reason, without cause. And this is impossible. Because the acknowledged rule of everyone, of the theologians, is that nothing comes out of nothing. And everything that comes out of into existence has come from a first cause. And that first cause is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also here, the attribute of knowledge, when we attribute knowledge to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we know that the knowledge of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was given to him. And his knowledge has a beginning and is always increasing. While the divine knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is endless. The knowledge of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is always increasing, while the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is endless. Also, the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wajib, essential. The knowledge of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who is a'lamu khalqillah, the most learned of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yet his knowledge is contingent, meaning given to him. Taking these things into mind, a person cannot equate the knowledge of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is an impossibility. No Muslim can do this. The next attribute that is mentioned, وَيَجِبُ فِي حَقِّهِ تَعَالَى الْحَيَاةُ وَهِيَ صِفَةٌ قَدِيمَةٌ قَائِمَةٌ بِذَاتِهِ تَعَالَى. It is essential in the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, divine life. وَهِيَ صِفَةٌ قَدِيمَةٌ قَائِمَةٌ بِذَاتِهِ تَعَالَى. It is a pre-eternal attribute established with these essence. Remember, when we attribute life to creation, we mean the beating of the heart, the circulation of the blood, the istiqrar al-ruh, the fact that the ruh, the spirit, is still inside of the body. This is the meaning of life for creation. But divine life, meaning the attribute of al-haya for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is an attribute which is beyond this meaning. He states, تُصَحِّحُ لَهُ أَنْ يَتَّصِفَ بِالْعِلْمِ وَغَيْرِهِ مِنَ الصِّفَاتِ. This attribute of divine life will validate for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be described with the attribute of knowledge and other attributes. Why? Because the one who is dead has no knowledge. The one who is dead has no irada, will. The one who is dead has no qudra, power. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-hayy, the living. And He subhanahu wa ta'ala is described with these divine attributes. Muttasif. وَضِدُّهَا الْمَوْتُ. The opposite to this is death. وَالدَّلِيلُ عَلَى ذَلِكَ. The evidence for upon that, أَنَّهُ لَوْ كَانَ مَيْتًا لَمْ يَكُنْ قَادِرًا وَلَا مُرِيدًا وَلَا عَالِمًا وَهُوَ مُحَالٌ. If he was dead, وَلِيَعْذُ بِاللَّهِ, and we mean by al-iyadhu billah, refuges with Allah, لَمْ يَكُنْ قَادِرًا, he will not be all-powerful, وَلَا مُرِيدًا, willing, وَلَا عَالِمًا, knowing, وَهُوَ مُحَالٌ, and this is impossible.